Hello, and welcome to Atomic Facepalm Weekly. Chris.
Wait, Bree.
And this is Atomic Facepalm Weekly, episode 20. Thanks everybody for tuning in to the show. We do appreciate it. If you want to leave a comment below, that would be fantastic. We can read it while we drink our coffee. You could also subscribe too, and we could also drink coffee while you do that. Yep. Either or, both, whichever. But again, thanks for tuning in.
And just mentioned, some housekeeping in the beginning, that we have it in podcast form, and that is down below. And I usually include all the timestamps for the crap that we talk about in case you want to skip some of the bullshit. Go right to whatever it is that you're here for. So those timestamps are down below, and links to anything that we're talking about.
Skip the bullshit. It's like 2 minutes long.
But maybe they want to get to the other bullshit.
But you can. You can listen to the podcast, and it'll be as delicious as this hot cup of coffee that I'm drinking right now. So good. Anyway, so thanks guys for tuning in. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into a little segment that we do every week. This segment is called The Same Game Fame as Bane and Blaine from Planet Name and the GUI Train.
Did you work on that all day?
It's like 10 minutes.
Are you asking what games I played this week?
I think so. I'm not even sure anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. That was like a Dr. Seuss vomited on your...
I was channeling Calvin and Hobbes. Oh, man. There's two versions. There is Commander Coriander Salamander and her single-hander Bellylander. And there is Hamster Huey and the Gooey Kablooey.
I barely remember that. Yeah, okay.
So there were two of those. Anyway, yes, what are you playing?
Oh, I wasn't actually prepared for that.
Yeah, okay, do it over. It's fine.
So I've been continuing my VR thing. I played quite a bit of Rick and Morty and finished that up yesterday.
Is it okay if we talk about that just for a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about Rick and Morty because you also got into
so
that.
I played quite a bit of that, about 2 hours worth.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked off to a great start in this show. We had conversations via text message on my cellular telephone device. We talked about how Rick and Morty, while I think it's a very funny concept, I think really the strongest part about the game for me is the humor. But is it a game necessarily?
No, but at the same time we need to add a big asterisk right there is there are not very many VR games at this moment. A lot of them are either quick little things, little kind of one-off games like an arcadey shooter or whatever, a lot of shooting, and a lot of them are very, like a tech demo almost. This is one of those tech demos where you're interacting. You're basically in Rick and Morty's garage, and then you get to interact with all these different objects. It's very similar to Job Simulator, where it's just kind of you've been put in a place. They give you a task. It's not really hard. You can just kind of dick around. You can just throw crap everywhere. It's very fun. It's very liberating to pick up stuff off a workbench and just throw it. I don't need that. Simulator.
It really is. They took that concept and they just kind of put a little Rick and Morty paint over it.
Yeah, but the humor is really fun. There's one of my favorite parts is almost the end of it, and it's just I don't even watch Rick and Morty the show.
I don't either.
And not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with that. It's on my list of whatever's to get to, but it's just really funny stuff. And if I was somebody that was really into the show, I would be really into this game because there's some canon at the end there.
So I don't think I got to the very end then. I got pretty far. There's some standout portions to me where you teleport to some weird Mars or Jupiter planet and a car that you, quote, fixed earlier on, which is just like a flying saucer, breaks down. You have to teleport in and help them fix it. But then you're on like a nature refuge. And he's like, shit, I thought we had it here, but just go ahead and defend us while we repair this car. So you have like your little blasters and you're shooting. And they're like, yeah, so we're good, so I can't really get you out of there. And it's this whole thing where like, you can just kill yourself. Because every time you die in this game, and there are various methods that are funny to do that. So it's just drinking Drano enough times, shooting yourself in the head with a gun you find. Right away, what's his name, the scientist guy? I don't know which one's Rick and which one's Morty. The weird-looking Doc Brown guy just shoots you after 2 seconds of playing the game, and you go to limbo.
Purgatory.
Purgatory, rather.
Which is one of my favorite things, is Purgatory.
Yeah, that was a lot of comic relief there.
Yeah.
To talk about all the people that have been in Purgatory, like John Edwards.
Every time you go there, it's a different thing on the phone that you lift up and you're in Purgatory.
So I found those parts funny. I find the part where you go into a VR game inside your VR game was pretty entertaining. It's just fucking cardboard cutouts.
Throw the football, Johnny.
So I gotta ask you, minor spoilers I guess, but there's numerous paths you can take. My path was, at first I was a politician, and then I ended up having a choice of what to do with my life, and one of them was have a kid. So I just threw the little cardboard at the wife, and then you warp into later on in your life, you're in the birthing room and they hand you the baby, and I just threw the baby on the ground, and you go to prison for the rest of your life.
What? You had a very different experience, and I was like a football player or something, then I was a coach,
Really?
and then I died of brain, whatever you get from being, your brain's gotten shaken too much.
Concussions?
That, you die of that, and you're like, you got 2 seconds to live, and then poof, game over. And so after all of that, and once you beat the game, which is about like 8 or 10 missions, then they tell you, well, there's a lot of replayability here. You could go over there and you could get their best time on that battery machine. Now we've unlocked that, so I just can't believe how much replayability the devs have put into this game. Like, just like blah, 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 talking about how great this game is. It's really great humor. Actually, I don't know how much that game was.
I don't either. You know what? Let's go ahead and imagine the internet. We're going to look it up, because I feel like that's an important part of this, honestly. And this is like, so before we get there, I just want to say, if I was a person who was like $5, probably be all right. But
I'd be even okay with up to 15. 20 would be really pushing it on, unless I was a Rick and Morty fan.
I think if you're a fan of the show, you should buy it.
There was nothing that came to me in this game where I was like, I'd like to replay that again. Like, they touted all the things, the little mini games that you could replay again, but
it's a good gateway drug to the show, because I gotta say, this is my kind of humor. It calls back to like the days of Ren and Stimpy, and a lot of those weird '90s cartoons. Like there's this back and forth. You can find tapes throughout the game.
And
that's
actually tell you at the end how many tapes there are. There's many Easter eggs, and
So I found, I think, 4 or 5. One was just them talking about ice cream back and forth for like 15 minutes, and it's actually entertaining. I'm presuming it's one guy who does the voice acting. It's my thing.
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay. I thought it might be a spider crawling on my back or something.
No.
So it's one guy, I think, who does the voices for both of them. I don't know if he does the female voices, but he's a very talented voice actor, and he has that like awkward style, but it works. So very good. So
it's a good game. It's definitely not for kids. So it's not like the game that you could use to introduce people to it. I'd rather use Job Simulator to introduce somebody to VR.
Well, it's not kid friendly.
That's what I just said.
I'm sorry.
You keep Googling. I'm going to keep talking while
it's not friendly to kids.
It's not kid friendly.
Uh-huh.
They call you the shitty Morty clone. So you're Morty. You're Morty. Morty's the old guy, right?
I really don't know.
Maybe.
It's $24 on Steam.
It's pushing it. It's pushing what I would wait for a sale on that, I guess, unless you're a Rick and Morty fan, and then I'd say go buy it. But you probably already have it if you're a Rick and Morty fan and you have VR, so whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that aside, what else did I play? Oh, I played Soundboxing. I downloaded that. This was actually one of those games. It's a VR game that I heard about. Like a guy lost like 50 pounds by playing Soundboxing every day, so it's kind of on my radar. Now it's on Steam, and I downloaded that. And you basically can just box to different songs that people have imported from YouTube. They don't have rights to any of these songs, so it's kind of whatever they have is what you get.
That's the only part. It was fun. I actually wanted to play some more of it today, but I couldn't. There's some weird. We have issues now and then. I feel like with Steam VR,
and I know that other people don't have these issues because they're like, "Oh, you're crazy, it's Steam VR." But it's like when we have an Oculus Rift, and you open up the Steam VR, and all of a sudden the Oculus Store keeps showing up in your headset.
Yeah.
And you try to like minimize it or anything like that, or even close it, and it's all like, "Oh, I'm going to shut down everything VR related on your computer if you close me." But I don't want to be in you right now. I want to be in the Steam VR. I find that really annoying, and it seems to I have to like restart the computer to get that to kind of stop doing that thing.
I do appreciate that Steam talks to Oculus and vice versa. That's nice.
I do.
I wish they would talk to each other more and maybe work out some of the bugs.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen necessarily. I think that's probably more on Steam's end.
I feel like I feel like it's Oculus. They're just trying to overwrite you playing a game anywhere but through their store. Because it's like, summer sale, and it just redirects you into the store page. And I'm like, I am trying to play a game that I already have on another thing, so calm your
leave
tits.
me alone. And we had trouble with Star Trek Bridge Crew I think that was more because of Uplay.
Uplay, which wanted to auto-log you in to yours, but it was really on mine on accident.
Yeah. So
these
these
are
are not
gaming
issues.
crap.
Yeah, this is not exclusive to
This
VR.
is the first world problems dealing with gaming and digital distribution and logins and passwords and
But at least you don't have to worry about losing your one install CD out of 5 and then being like, I
like
can't
Witcher
really...
2. My Witcher 2, I lost disc 1. I don't know where it is. It probably is in an old computer somewhere. It's kind of a bummer.
I feel like, okay, I do want to talk about Soundboxing. Is it Soundboxing? I really can't remember the name of this damn game.
I believe it's Soundboxing.
Okay, because I remember it was very representative of what you were doing. So
yeah.
Soundboxing sounds right. I do want to talk about that, but that brings up a good point. This is one of those things where you do hear all these complaints about people bitching about digital distribution, and sure, it has its problems. We've talked about many of them. Mm-hmm. There's, in my opinion, too many of them. Not all of them are reliable, DRM, et cetera, et cetera. But really, if you're an old guy like me, and you remember those times where you really did need 5 or 6 CDs before DVDs.
Or floppy disks.
Floppy
20?
disks, yeah.
Where in the world is Carmen
Betrayal
Sandiego
of Condor was like 27 floppy disks. So, okay, yes, there are issues. So much better than it used to be. And now there are certain ways to back it up. Like if you have Steam, you can back up all your save files and all your data onto, an SSD or something.
No, I complaining about digital distribution aside, I prefer it 100 times over. Yeah. I like my stuff in the cloud. I like my music in the cloud. I like my games in the cloud. I'm fine with it.
I'm a hypocrite. I liked opening up a game box on Christmas, or I liked getting that nice manual for games like Arcanum or other games that RPGs. I miss that component of it, but really I don't miss a scratch CD. I don't miss
storing all of the CDs, the boxes, the jewel cases, the cards, yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that because I've noticed that on Twitter a lot lately. People really, for some reason, have been complaining about digital distribution. It's like, yeah, sure, it needs work, but you don't want to go back to the way it was. Trust me. It was really bad back then.
I think people know, but the grass is always greener.
Yeah. Anyway,
so your thoughts on...
So, yes, I played a few songs. And the biggest issue for me was, you had me play a Beastie Boys song, Intergalactic. And the only problem with it was there's a long intro on the YouTube video, because it's like an MTV video, basically. And it's just random sounds. So you're trying to, literally beatbox to, a Godzilla monster running around. That felt kind of weird. I almost wish they had just shut off if they had, an algorithm that could just know when the music itself started.
I think this is the epitome of a tech demo. I feel like this is not... Again, I don't know how much money it is. As long as it's I feel like it's pretty worth it because it just, I don't know, I like this game quite a bit.
I'm going to take a guess here and say it's probably $10.
And that's, I think, is right because all of the...
Oh, it's $5.
Yeah, that's so worth it because if you just, other people are making the little boxing things that you box to. And some of the games are not boxing. They were a lot more dancey, like that one French electro song that we did, that Yell. That was much more you crisscross and jazzing out your hands a lot more instead of just...
And our kids figured out that you can just hold your hands out and maybe do a VR swim type of thing. So you can just hold your hands and they can hit the little... so you don't have to do So yeah, I think there's different ways to finagle it. It brings up a sweat.
That was actually one of the... Headphone set is here, but that was one of the sweatier times this got, instantly just... sweating there.
Ooh, future VR topic, VR sweat.
It's gross.
That's actually one of the things we talked about, by the way, on this VR. I feel like you need, for the Rift, you need the
We've had somebody write in and talk about there's this little elastic thing that you put over it and it will keep your sweat. So at least you can change it out. You get a couple of those and you swap it out and wash them.
It does get kind of funky.
It's kind of when it was really hot last week, it was kind of gross.
Yeah. If you're in a big household, if you're just yourself, who cares, I guess. But if you're swapping it out, you get a little nasty.
Yeah.
So I would recommend doing that. We actually probably should do that. But yeah, so I enjoyed that game. I want to play it some more. So I had to have stitches recently, so I usually run 4 or 5 miles every other day. I can't do that right now. This doesn't really require a lot of core work necessarily. It's just a good way to wind yourself. So this is a good way for me to get some exercise in without, ripping my stitches open. So,
no, it's good. And then I didn't play any other video games this week. We played Warhammer 40K, finished up the game that we started last week. I won. So
it was a learning game. So it was our first game. And yet, see, Bree and I go into this and we say, we're just going to go into it with a learning attitude. We're going to learn the rules. and we're going to play. And then we get really competitive and we hurt each other's feelings. Or the dice rolls. There's a lot of hurt feelings.
I can't not be competitive. I just can't
can't
pull
either.
that aside.
Which is really rough in a learning game like this because you're going to screw up. It's
There was like the first round we didn't use all these different rules, and then it was like turn 4 before you realized that your guys were out of synapse range and shouldn't have been shooting like they were.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues. I still would like to make videos on. I feel like I need to learn the game before I really start talking like I know what I'm doing in the game. What I'd like to do is maybe do like if you're new to Warhammer 40k, I have a lot of people on Twitter ask me, they're like, dude, you seem like you know 40k, but what is it? So I think there's a lot of stuff out there. If you're already a 40k player, there's a lot of content. There's not a lot out there for brand new players on YouTube, weirdly enough.
I think the problem is they're not necessarily looking. I guess I remember when I started and I found the Mini Wargaming guys, and he had some really great tutorials that were kind of like, I watched those and he was very patient and slow and went through everything step by step. And I was like, oh, that's actually not too bad. Of course, then you add in the 30 other rules that are not included in that base thing, and you start to be like, ugh.
Yeah.
This is a simplified version. It's good, it's streamlined, it's faster for sure, but at the same time, there's still these little persnickety rules that need to get worked out.
Yeah. Once again, I'll reiterate, if you have one other friend, you should stop playing Dawn of War 3 and you should go play
Warhammer 48. Dawn of War 3.
So, yeah.
I haven't heard anybody talk about that game.
Yeah, it's a bummer. So we were playing that. I also played SuperHot VR.
Okay, because you hadn't played that last time.
I had not. And I've not played the ordinary SuperHot. The concept is strong.
It is a strong concept. I don't like the way I have to restart.
Yes, that drove me insane. I played it for like 15, 20 minutes. And I was like, can there be a checkpoint? You do 3.
Well, there is a check. It's like 4.
I never got there.
Oh.
I got to the 4th one, maybe 5th one over and over, and I never...
Yeah, so there's multiple. I can't remember that because it's been 2 weeks since I played, but it was like 4 or 5, and then there's another chunk. And then it's 4 or 5, and then there's another chunk. So by the time I get to like the 4th chunk, for one, it was like the hottest day, and I was fucking sweating my ass off.
Yeah, it's a
And then I was starting to get frustrated and having issues. You can punch them and throw things at them.
Yeah.
Just about any, you're fighting against pretty much glass people, and so any kind of contact with all will shatter them. But they don't move unless you move.
But I felt like that, it could have been because of we have a small space. That was another thing with Rick and Morty. That game is designed for a big space.
Yeah, Rick and Morty is designed for a big space, and it is designed for a setup where you have a camera behind you, because you're going to be turning around. It was one of those things where I took the VR headset off after I was completed playing, and it had no idea where I was.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm facing
the
other way.
I was over here, so we normally have our table a little bit over here, and there was a chair. I actually banged my head pretty hard on the chair. Just really disorienting when you're in VR.
Yeah.
So I will say, again, if you want to get into VR, I can't stress it enough, you need a big space. Because a lot of those games, and SuperHot's the same way. SuperHot is a movement game. I felt like it was a little lacking. There were times where I got shot, and I was like, that wasn't fair. I was like, in Robo Recall and in games like Space Pirate Trainer, if the bullet goes past your head, you're fine. I felt like it was, maybe you have a big hitbox. There were times where I actually felt like it was unfair. I was like, come on.
Oh.
So I also felt like it was a little janky sometimes. It was weird to me how fast I should move and how that correlates to how fast a bullet comes towards me. Like, I didn't feel like it was, maybe it just takes practice.
I think so, because I started to get to the point where I would do this to kind of get them to move.
Oh, okay.
And then you'd have to deal with them.
It was okay. There are, in my opinion, much better games out there compared to that. So.
And I was surprised because both SuperHot and Arizona Sunshine were the VR games that I heard a lot about. People really liking, and neither of them has blown me away.
I think those have also been out for a while.
Yeah.
If you compare Robo Recall to SuperHot VR, I'm going Robo Recall every time.
Absolutely, just as polish-wise. I didn't have any issues with bugginess in SuperHot, but Arizona Sunshine for sure. Rick and Morty for sure was.
Rick and Morty had issues. That's where I banged my head. Was there's a part where you have to combine a mace with a carrot to make a carrot mace or something, and earlier on I was just banging around with a mace, and I threw it behind me. It ended up going to an area where I couldn't really get to.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I didn't know of any way to replace that particular item without just starting all over again, which I didn't want to do. So I was pretty far into the game at that point.
So did you get there's a ball that you can get, and you throw the ball, and it makes a copy of you? So you
Yeah.
throw him where you can't get to, and then you reach down, you watch what he's doing, grab it,
okay.
and then you pass it to yourself.
I didn't think of doing that. Because that was the one puzzle I had trouble with in that game was you have to pour the dark matter. And that was so hard, especially with our setup where it's like you don't have a camera behind you, so it's like one little thing. If you move it too much, it just vaporizes. You have to start over.
There was a few, I'd actually say that some of the puzzles were a little tricky for a minute.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. I wanted more. It's pretty short. Anyways.
So I didn't play this game because it was impossible to do this right now. But let's just give a little poem here. It's called O Hob, Where Art Thou? So, because we want to play this game so bad. It's pinned at the top of my Twitter account. It's one of the more popular videos on our channel because Hob looks awesome. We're just dying to play this game, so bad. It would have been on our most anticipated games of 2017. We just didn't know enough about it for the release date. So it was there in spirit. Mm-hmm. And this is really one of those games where I'm waiting to play all damn year. I want to play Hob badly, and we just don't have any information on it. So, Rennick, you should tell us when it's going to come out.
It'll come out when it's damn ready.
Yeah, but it looks good.
It is, and there actually a few games are coming up in the next few weeks. Pyre's coming out, Fortnite's coming out.
We got a pretty decent lineup coming.
But this has been a dry spell. There's no games where I haven't really reviewed any games just because I was like, I'll look at a game and be like, nah.
I'm still playing Rhyme. I'm close to finishing that. It's still good. I still enjoy it. I just have talked so much about it. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about Ruiner. I want that game to come out too. Mm-hmm. Ruiner looks awesome. There's another game we're going to get into in a minute here that we'll discuss at length that is on this list too.
Go for it.
Okay, so that one, if I can find it. It's the one with the really big font. Tough to miss. Mm-hmm. This one is, I'm going to read this because it's a great headline. I'll clear my throat here. We quit our jobs, remortgaged our houses. How relentless passion made Cuphead a reality.
That was a good article.
So I read it through it because Cuphead was a game we're both looking forward to. I think it was on your...
It was my most anticipated games this year, and I was starting to lose hope, and then they finally at E3 gave a release date of... Geez, now I don't remember. August? September?
So it's September 29th. Now.
Okay, September 29th.
Yep.
Yeah, but I was starting to lose hope because it was like nobody had updated the website or heard anything for like a year. So I was starting to
You
be
and
like,
a lot of other people were really kind of like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what happened, throughout. They've been on this, like, as soon as anybody saw a glimpse of this game, everybody's like, holy shit, I want this game. But it takes a long time to make a game.
Especially when
you're
it's
like
people.
3 people and you're hand drawing every little friggin' cell.
Especially when you hand draw everything and there's a lot of negative feedback and you have to redraw half of the damn game, which is apparently what happened.
Yes.
There was a lot of blowback on the boss battles they had. Apparently that was a big set piece for the game. Mm-hmm. And people were like, oh, that's great, but what else is there? And not much. So they went back, they remade a whole bunch of the game, and they really did quit their full-time jobs, remortgage their houses. That's a bold damn move.
It is.
My only concern is what if the game sucks?
I don't think the game's going to suck. I am worried about the hardness for me. I'm not a patient gamer. I really am not. And it looks like one of those games that is just going to destroy me.
It was compared to like Contra 3, the Alien Wars, like really classic hardcore side-scrollers that are unforgiving. Yeah. So I'm a little concerned about that too.
I'm concerned about difficulty just because I want to love this game like through and through. And I know myself. Anyways, I'm going to link that article down below because it's just a good behind the scenes on what it really takes for people to do this. And this isn't the only game where people have, because I think that's more common now that people are doing indie games, like the Ooblets lady. She quit her job. She's gotten a lot of good press, but now she's got to deliver on that. Yeah. A lot of different developers are doing the same thing.
It's pretty cool because if you go back to when Nintendo, maybe not Nintendo necessarily, that's a bad example. But go back to when a lot of PC gaming and even video games weren't a household thing. It took people a lot of effort and time, and honestly, sometimes they had to go routes like this where they quit their job and they just kind of rolled the dice, and hopefully they made a good product and people bought it. Doom was that way. Honestly, the original Doom was a very small group of just really enthusiastic guys making a game. And this is very cool to see that still happening. I really hope it's successful because I don't want these guys to be literally homeless. But Cuphead looks amazing in the sense that it's 1930s, like you said, hand-drawn graphics. One of the more unique approaches to a game I have ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I saw one picture of it and I was like, I want that game. And as has everyone else. I think there's no doubt about it. Just hopefully.
Interest is there. It's just
Yeah.
whether or not,
Yeah.
it's going to come out. So our next topic involves an article by our pals at PCGamer. And they took a spin on what Nintendo's been doing, not literally, but it's an idea. So Nintendo has put the NES Classic, the upcoming Super NES Classic. And so PCGamer got the idea, which is a pretty good idea, gotta say, of what games would you put on a classic PC. So if you had an Intel 46 processor, what classic games would you like to see on it that being handheld device? So we're going to read off some of the games, probably all the games that PCGamer put on there. We're going to tell you what we think we put on there. So for PCGamer, it was Civilization 2, strong choice. Commander Keen, which came before Duke Nukem 3D, same makers. No, wait, Commander Keen, no. I just screwed that up. Commander Keen was id. Duke Nukem was Apogee.
I did not play Commander
I failed
Keen.
at trivia. It was a fun game. They also put on Day of the Tentacle. That's a game I've never played that everyone is like, how could you not have played that game? LucasArts game.
I did not play it. I remember that one. I actually remember that one, where the other one I was like, I don't remember. That's just, when I PC game, and I just want to put that asterisk out there. PC game, I didn't have a lot of choice. Like, I don't feel like I ever went to the store and my parents were like, "Oh, buy the games." It was like the games were given from my uncle, the games that we happened to get that came with the computer, or the one time that we bought our computer, they were like, "You can pick out one game."
Yeah.
And I did, but so I just.
So they also have Doom.
Yep.
Duke Nukem 3D.
Yep.
Two of the best games ever. Lemmings.
So I played Lemmings. I played the crap out of Lemmings, but not on the PC. I don't know if that
I played it on Super Nintendo, I think.
Yeah.
Monkey Island 2, again, a game I should have played but never did, like Chuck's Revenge. Myst, pretty classic there.
Played that.
Prince of Persia, amazing game. I also played that one in Super Nintendo. And then I played it at my friend's house, and I didn't realize how violent and awesome it was on the PC.
Yeah, I did not play it on
bloody.
the PC.
Star Control 2, not really familiar with that one, although I guess I should be. Processing
the next page. We probably should have pulled that list out of there.
This is way more fun. Processing.
There's no internet. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just so subjective for PC games because it was just, I don't know.
I think a lot of people back then were in that same boat. If you're our age anyway. But, there are a lot of games on here I did play. For example, Star Wars Dark Forces, played that game. SimCity 2000. Star Wars TIE Fighter, yep.
Nope.
System Shock. A game you've never heard of called the Oregon Trail.
Which is a given, I think.
Ultima Underworld. Actually, never played that.
Nope.
I don't know if it would still hold up because it looks pretty janky. Ultima 6, The False Prophet. Warcraft 2. Ties of Darkness, great game, obviously. And the original Wasteland, which I kind of wish I had played, but didn't. Wasteland 2 was great, though. Wing Commander 3. That was actually one of Mark Hamill's better performances, gotta say. It's like when our full-time video was a big thing. UFO, Defense XCOM. So some pretty good ones on there, I gotta say, for the most part.
But I did not play a lot of those games.
I would say I played 70% of them.
So what was there? It was on a certain type of computer that these games had to be on?
46.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're talking like your beige box with a tiny little monitor, probably like, I don't know, 8 megs of RAM, something around that nature. Maybe like a 20 megabyte hard drive, if they even had a hard drive. So the games I thought would be cool, original SimCity, not SimCity 2000. The original SimCity, where you had the red cheat sheet with the form of DRM, where you could, if you open a text console and typed Shift FUND, you get like free money. If you keep doing that, it would randomly spawn disasters. It's just fun stuff.
I don't think I played the original. I remember 2000 because it came with something. Like it came
was
with our
usually
computer.
bundled.
It was bundled with our printer or something stupid.
Maxis software, man.
Yes.
Will Wright, back when he did video games. Conan the Cimmerian, which was another game I just happened to get, like, was something super fun. Dungeons and Dragons Shadow Sorcerer came with a free book. It came with a, God, I don't remember the name of it. It was like Forgotten Realms or something. No, Dragonlance. It was a Dragonlance module. The book was as enjoyable as a game. Command and Conquer, great original game. Lords of the Realm 2, and then I would say Fallout 1 and 2.
Okay. So I did not, because I was at work today. I put this in there thinking I'd make a list, but it's more like, what do I remember? I remember playing lots of Sierra adventure games when I was a little kid. Like, that's pretty much all I played. I remember that when we bought our Tandy, I got a Sherlock Holmes game, which I've never been able to actually find. I've like tried to Google around and find that game, and I can't find the particular one that we played or one that we had. I remember the opening scene was like in the dark, and it's like Jack the Ripper is running down an alleyway, and then for a second you'd get like a glint of the streetlights on the water, and I remember being just blown away. It was
the
like
object
the prettiest.
Source lighting.
I'm pretty sure that's why my parents bought that computer, because we went into Radio Shack and they were like, "Oh, look at this Sherlock Holmes game," and then they were like, "Oh, that's so fantastic," and they bought that computer. That really never did anything. So yeah, that Sherlock Holmes game. I played lots of I don't know what they ran on. I just remember we had kind of a generic computer forever. So like that.
If you're around 1993, 1995, you're in the right realm.
Roger Wilco, did you remember playing those? Yeah. Like those games we played a lot. And
you ever play Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Yes, I had When in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and that game basically consisted of me getting to a part and then going and asking my dad the answer and then putting it in. Like, it was
hard.
It was hard as shit. I don't think I could play it now. It's like this, it was hard. So we had that one for sure, and I think I'm surprised that Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego is not like on that list.
I think people forget about that game.
Really? There was a TV show.
I know, there really was. It was based off the game. It was awesome.
And then I remember, How
about a little game called Leisure Suit Larry?
So I do remember coming in and seeing my uncle playing that game, and he was like, shh, 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 and he shushed me out. I didn't realize what was happening. Those people were having sex on the screen. I mean,
it was like...
I was not supposed to watch that game.
We managed to get a bootleg copy somehow, and we installed it on our Latin computer and got caught playing it. So much trouble.
I bet, because it was
it was pretty for back then,
And then what else?
The original StarCraft. Oh, that's late 90s, so that probably wouldn't work.
I don't know if that would... Because like the original StarCraft and then like the original Diablo, and I think you're pushing it with lore.
The original Diablo was around there. The original Tomb Raider. Yeah, Tomb Raider would work.
So those three were, on and off playing, and then I just had it in my head and I forgot.
Hubert?
No, The Island of Dr. Brain was like one of my favorite fucking games, and I don't know if I think that cuts into it's like Roger Wilco time. Yeah. I love that game. There's one part where you have to like train your robot to go through the maze. I felt so smart. I felt like I really loved that game.
I sucked at those games. I wanted to be good at them. I was terrible. There was also Syndicate, which was a great game for back then. And all the X-Wing games, back then, I think those kind of struggled to run on a 486. A friend of mine had one. I had to play it in his computer because ours just was not good enough. Also, installing PC games back then, not a guarantee. That's when you had to like really know your stuff. I mean, talking like set your IRQs and your DMAs on your sound card. You had to know precisely what sound card you had. There's none of this go to the internet and Google it crap. You had to, God forbid if you lost like the manual or something.
So I remember being, not this time frame, but reformatting our hard drive and like reinstalling Windows without the internet, and I don't understand how I would have done that at like 14 or 15.
It's honestly before my time. I don't know.
And I remember doing that.
Back then, if I remember right, they actually had partitions. Like you could delete the hard drive. There's always a partition that had the OS that you could then, I think, format off of.
I remember like reinstalling it. My parents were freaking out, like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, "Dad, it's okay. It's all right." And I did it. I don't understand how, because I don't feel like I'm that. Yeah, I can follow instructions, but I don't know computer stuff.
Well, back then, I know you could. It was easy to format. It was hard to recover. So back then, it was just format C, and that was it. You can't do that anymore. Yeah. But back then, you could. I remember back then on like the older Macs, you could actually drag the hard drive into the recycle bin. Good times. Anyway, so yes.
If you guys have comments, I'd love to hear it. And I'll link down to their list so you can see through some of these games as well.
I gotta say, PCGamer, it's kind of a good idea, and they might want to like trademark that shit before like some company. Like, seriously, it's kind of cool. I mean, I know there's emulators and stuff, but if you just gave me a handheld device,
it's to make it easy. Yeah. Just to, like, this is all these PC games. I kind of want a different list though. I like about half of their games, and then the other half I'm kind of like, eh.
It's a little bit more challenging to carry on. I guess a gigantic. If you're really going with the actual style, when there's big like mechanical IBM keyboards and that giant one-button mouse that weighed like 2 tons.
Yeah, and you need like the floppy drive with lock it in.
You'll lock in the turbo button on your computer. Turbo, go. Good stuff. But yes, moving on. So one thing I wanted to cover is a story that there's a big mod going on for Fallout 4 that kind of restores it back to the original Fallout motif. Now, I come from Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. I'm a purist. I was very much against going to first person, so I understand. And it's just a quick reference by me that with this new mod that we can put, I think, let's try and put the article because it's pretty cool. It's a PCGamer article, so I think it's in there. But basically, it puts in the special system and it puts in all the skills that were in the original Fallout 1 and 2. So we're talking unarmed, survival, speech, melee medicine, lockpick, and you can tag each of those skills when you start your character. You get tagged 2 or 3, and you can bump those up faster. And it's a 1 through 200% scale.
Okay.
And they got rid of that crappy dialogue wheel. Now it's like background skill checks, like the original. Because Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 were really very much like a Dungeons and Dragons module, but they kind of tweaked it. It was supposed to be based off of GURPS, which is a Steve Jackson alternative to Dungeons and Dragons. So Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 are fine. They're good games. But if you're a purist like me, keep a close eye on this mod. I am very curious to play this. I mean, I'm looking at the screen right now, and it looks very much like it should, where it has all these things in there. I mean, it's quite a big overhaul. There's no completion date. This could be a while, but this is pretty cool. I saw this, and I was like, man, that's what I want. I want to play. It's still first person. No getting around that. But at least this mod retains the core of what, in my opinion, made Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 so good.
That's cool.
So, yeah. Do you want to talk about the Breath of the Wild story?
Yeah, that came out last Friday, the new DLC. There it is, coming around the track.
Yeah.
Good Lord. We have not played it, but of course, because this is how everything works, there's the new Master of Trials, which you have to go through 60 different levels to get, upgrades. It's kind of like it keeps getting harder and harder, it keeps waves and whatever, and you're supposed to go through 60 different trials. Somebody's already beat it, and sorry, I don't have my iPad. No, and there was like an hour and 14 minutes to do the 60 different levels, and then you get the upgrade to the Master Sword, and so somebody's already done that in an hour. And people are beating the game anyways.
Who the fuck are these people?
I know they're like, they have like super crazy skills. Other things that you could do in it, it was different like outfits. So one of the outfits is Tingle. So do you know what Tingle is? Like the little guy with the green. I know that you've seen people cosplay Tingle for sure. He's got he kind of dressed like Link. He's got a little green pointy hat, little red underwear. All green.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I didn't know he had a name. But yeah, I know he is.
Yeah, so he's been in, like, every one of the every Zelda game since, like, Majora's Mask or whatever. Okay. So you can get the outfit and dress up as Tingle, and then it makes all the NPCs in the game, like, cower from you and be scared of you because you look like a freaking weirdo. A couple other things. You can get the mask so you can find all those Korok seeds or whatever.
I know nothing of what any of this is. I should. I want to play the game, but...
You don't know about the little seeds? You, like, lift up a rock, and then that guy comes out, and he's like, ah, and he gives you the little seed.
What do you do with the seed?
I don't know. You turn them in for some scrap.
No, I don't know.
There's, like, 900 of them in the game.
Is that original to this game, or is that in the other ones?
No, that's the Breath of the Wild thing. So they're just, like, little, like, you climb up on a plateau, and there might be, like, a circle of rocks. You put one in, and then it'll unlock the guy, and he'll come out. It's, like, little Easter eggs, but there's a lot of them everywhere.
Oh, cool. No, I didn't know that.
No. I'm surprised you haven't seen them getting them and finding
Maybe
the
I
guys.
just didn't pick up on it.
Because then they go to the Deku tree and they're all there and they're like so cute. They're like little leaf guys. Yeah. But we have not downloaded this. I haven't even beat the game.
Is this you have to pay for this DLC or is it just free?
No, you have to pay for it. And I thought there was. I remember more about when they released the game. You could get like you'd buy in the season pass. They did that stupid season pass thing. You remember we talked about that, which I did not do because we don't even. Are you learning what Tingle looks like?
I just want to do a little Tingle research here.
Okay.
With our lightning fast internet, it's taking 25 minutes to open
I know
up
that
a JPEG.
You've seen people, like that's a
I think I know what you're talking about. Because when you mentioned cosplay, I'm pretty sure the last PAX we were at, it was there. But
their internet's too crappy.
Anyway.
Did you have anything else to talk about this week?
I did not. I just want to say, again, VR is probably the focus right now.
Just because it's kind of slow game release until mid-July, and then it starts to ramp up, and then August, September, and then October. It's freaking nuts. There's so many good games coming out in October. I don't even know what to do with it. I think they're kind of making a huge mistake right there with that, because there's like too many games competing.
Well, because they want to try and hit that deadline before, and you're getting close to the holiday season, so...
people play games in this. I know most
Of
people are
course they do.
outside, but it's like,
They just push it off.
Yeah.
Happens every time. Which, I mean, it's one of those good kind of problems, I guess, but it's also bad because then you end up not playing some of the great games that you want to enjoy. I just want to mention real quick, it's not quite on the radar, but we'll be going to PAX. The main PAX, it's not PAX Prime anymore, it's PAX West, is that right?
Yep.
They changed the fucking name of that thing. So anyway, we're going to the PAX in Seattle, so that will be coming up too. So hopefully, we'll see some of you there. It'll be fun.
August, end of August.
Yeah, I believe. Maybe that is coming up soon. That's like a month away.
Well, no, a month and a half.
Month and a half, yeah. So that'd be fun. But nope, that's pretty much it. So thanks everybody for tuning in again. We really do appreciate it. And what we really do appreciate also is hitting subscribe. That's awesome. And comments too. Go ahead and talk. We'd love to hear from you.
And find us on Twitter. We're actually both pretty active on Twitter, so love to hear from people that are watching the show and what you think and what you're doing and
My
your brain
context on
thinkings and
Twitter
stuff.
ranges from Twin Peaks to dogs to Warhammer to random rambling. So it's Twitter. Yeah.
I just bitch about Trump a lot. So.
Yeah, that too. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. This is Chris.
This is Bree.
Goodbye. Forgot
Good
our
luck
outro.
and have fun.
That's the one.
Good luck and have fun.
That really hurt.
What happened?
I stabbed my nose.
Oh, it's this little guy here.
Oof. Bye.
I'm gonna cut that.